Hey everybody, Doa here, Charmers Frozen in Carbonite, as you can see, but I'm here to cast a round of 8 match from the Los Angeles Planetary Qualifier that just happened at Fire and Dice Games in Winnetka here in the LA area this last weekend. I went and got to play in it actually. I managed to take 29th place out of 113 with my Darth Vader, set 4 cunning, space swarm kind of deck. You know how it is, but I included Millennium Falcons and they worked really, really well. I'll do a tech on that soon, but I wanted to cast this match for you. I've got this one round of 8s match, I've got a round of 4 match, and then I've got the finals as well that I'll be putting up on the channel. Thankfully, the players were kind and allowed me to record their matches so that I could do this for you. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the game. Here we are. We have Michael Garcia on, believe it or not, Admiral Piett Shield Generator Complex. That's right, Piett Blue. How cool is that? And then King Bully on Ray Data Vault, a deck that I certainly underestimated coming into this series, into this tournament rather, and a deck that did very, very well across the meta. And so it's going to be fun to watch and explore exactly how that occurred. But I'm just so hyped about Piett, right? I mean, we've seen some Piett Red kind of come up as a response to the Boba Data Vaults emerging in the meta as well, as we see our first couple cards coming down for each player alliance. Dispatcher gets the XP from Ray, of course, and then Pershing for the card on the Piett side. So as I was saying, a lot of Piett Red, but Piett Blue just has this incredible sort of staying power. It's just it's not a fast deck, but it's a very plotting, powerful kind of way to play the leader. And when I asked Michael, why blue instead of red when red is kind of the, color of choice, the aspect of choice as we see the resupply go down, he just said, I just like blue. I'm just more comfortable with this. No other reason than that. Doesn't think it's better, nothing other than just he likes to play it this way. So that's what we see. I love to hear players do that way. We see the C3PO play on the King Bully side of things. Called a number, didn't get it though. And one more resource for Ray to give an XP to the Alliance Dispatcher. Again, it looks like he did point at that. So is that the case, or is 3PO going to get buffed as well? It's funny because the Alliance Dispatcher can be kind of this like sneaky good card where it can hit, right? Ray can buff it and it can hit you, but it can also have this this sort of surprise way of playing something a little bit bigger sometimes. So that's kind of what it does, right? So we'll see what it ends up doing. Looks like we got another XP on it for now. That is a big dispatcher right there. As we move into our next phase here, it looks like. All right. That 1 damage done to Pershing helps too. Anything you can do to kind of deny some of the card draw that these slower decks can get out of Pershing. I would say Dr. Pershing for me is one of the most annoying cards in the entire game. Ooh, Resupply Carrier already. Yeah, resupply the card into Piett activation, Resupply Carrier. So ramping fast, and there is going to be, it looks like, yeah, the blue leader going into Pershing. I believe that jumped on the ground. Wait, did I get that right at all? There's a huge glare on that. I think that was, yeah, I believe that was the blue leader. So you pay an extra 2 and it comes in with ambush and you can put it on the ground with a couple XP. So I think that was the plan there. Piett is activated. 3PO runs into him for a little bit of damage here. And the 3 call and Yoda gets drawn by King Bully. So nice call there with the 3PO. But I got to say, with this resupply carrier out there already and Piett leader on the ground, I'm getting a little bit worried. That's some big stuff coming out fast from this Piett player. When you could go resupply into resupply carrier, that is a lot of resources real quick. So we'll see how this works out. Now it's all about, the pressure that the Ray Data Vault player can put on the opponent. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of restore there later in the game with the Ray. But I think King Bully's feeling the pressure here a little bit right now. I had to adjust a little bit. Now, we do see as another shot gets taken by Piett there. There's a little jump in here. They had to pause the match for just a moment to work some things out rules-wise. There's the Avenger already from Michael Garcia. So when you see the little jump here, that's why. I think it just kind of happened. So I had to stop the recording and start it going again. But we're back on track now. And does our Ray player have any response to this very, very quick Avenger here? That's the question. Obviously, Fell the Dragon exists. There are ways to get rid of it. And the nice thing with Ray is you have some units that you don't necessarily mind losing to the Avenger as well. Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to change his mind and ditch the blue leader for that one as 3PO runs in to Piett. calls a number. Piett goes back to the leader zone. Oh, doesn't get it that time with 3PO. But hey, I would say Piett did his job over on Michael Garcia's side, right? You've got two big capital ships out there. There's a 4-swing from the resupply carrier bringing King Bully to 6. There's a resupply from King Bully himself, so ramping as well, and I believe that's enough to get the Ray out this turn. And there's Yoda getting played as well. Yeah, Ray does get activated. These guys are playing so fast, by the way. Remember, this is essentially the 8th round of Star Wars Unlimited they've played on the day. It was 7 rounds of Swiss into the top 8 cut. So I think a lot of the stuff is, you've played your deck a ton that day alone. You've played it a ton in practice. You kind of know what you're going to do, before you do it in a lot of scenarios, even against something a little bit unorthodox like this Piett deck. So I think we see the players playing pretty quick because of that. But, again, this Avenger remains kind of a problem here. And Michael Garcia, yeah, there's the super laser, turbo laser salvo. That's what it is. And that is going to completely wipe the board over on the other side of things. Great start to be able to kind of use the Avenger. Yeah, I was going to say, there's a Rival's Fall to take it out. It was going to be nice to use the Avenger to clear the board with the turbo laser salvo and then get to swing on top of that, but no, Rival's Fall. I mean, you knew there had to be something in King Bully's deck coming up soon that would be able to remove that. But, the Piett deck accounts for that, right? You're supposed to have a lot of big threats. And so while many of those resources were spent that turn on the turbo laser salvo, he's still got the 4-6 out. He's still got, a lot of big things he can play. In fact, he takes initiative and bypasses the attack. So really kind of going for the, trying to maximize those late game power plays by just saying, you know what, I'm just going to skip the attack with the resupply carrier that time and just go from there, right? I think he might have skipped the attack. I might have gotten that wrong. These guys are playing so fast that I might miss a thing here and there. We will see. U-Wing reinforcements played by King Bully there as we finally get a little bit of a breather. And there's a home one, okay? For one of those 3 resources remaining, what's it going to be? I would think that the Yoda, yes, the Yoda would be a very tempting take there, again, because of the card draw, because of the restore. Didn't get a lot of restore from the Ray unit, that's for sure. All right, so now back onto Michael. Another activation, spending a lot of resources here. Whoa, what is that? That is a Devastator coming down the 10-10. Big Sentinel in the air, but also something that can just delete another unit on the board by doing damage equal to its power. An Alliance Dispatcher, the follow-up play here as a resupply carrier swings in for another 4 damage. And a couple more draws. I believe that was a Crumb and a Pershing drawn by Michael Garcia right there. Salacious Crumb can be very annoying early on. I do like that, especially when it's used. If he runs Super Laser Technician, which I would imagine he does, it's a nice little way to ping that. Fel the Dragon comes in, takes out the Devastator. When you run into these blue decks, they're going to have a lot of that really good single target removal to handle it, especially when we get into the sideboard world that we're going to be in Game 2, regardless of who wins this first one. So, this Ray Data Vault, not sweating too much. Oh, there's the Maul. I really like that into the Alliance Dispatcher. That's going to be a little bit of damage on base. 3 coming over the top from the Overwhelm, and only 1 back on the Maul. So, that's one of the nice things you can get when you're playing these like big beefy green decks, is that you have the ability to play some of the bigger ground units too, just to kind of run something a little bit surprising. There's the Mothma for a bit of searching here. And man, if you play a Mon Mothma on turn 1, like nobody wants to spend an attack removing that. It gets kind of crazy actually, where it's like she becomes a problem when you keep buffing her with Ray, but people are like, oh, I just don't want to attack her to the Mon Mothma. Oh wow. All right, what'll it be now? As initiative is taken by Michael Garcia, King Bully on the other side. And I'm just kind of going by the names here on Melee GG, by the way, as far as what I'm referring to the players as. And okay, there's the R2-D2. Yeah, I'm going to check that top card with the R2 ability. And so the thing is, with these Ray decks, despite the wipes, they are able to rebuild the board fairly quickly. And then when the XP starts kind of rolling in, the pokes start to hurt a little bit more. This game might not be the best, example of that, but I do like the way that this Ray Data Vault can quickly rebuild a board. We're seeing a little bit of that right now, but man, there's just so much damage from the Michael Garcia side of things. This Piett Blue just got off to like the quickest start, and the thing is, without a way to really get rid of that resupply carrier, that's a lot of pressure, right? 4 damage per turn. And now you've got the Maul in there. Yeah, Maul just going to run right over the R2-D2, a little bit more overwhelm. I think that's smart, not to just go to base. Yeah, there's the Luke Skywalker finally taking out the resupply carrier. Could have taken out the Maul, but the thing is you've already seen that attack from the Maul go through, right? The threat of that card for this phase is ended. So might as well do what can save you some more damage, especially when you're already 21 health on, or 21 damage on base. Okay, this is going real fast. Devastator takes out the Luke, fell the Dragon, takes out the Devastator. And we're back to a Pershing activation for a card draw. Michael Garcia going through this deck real quick. There's some restore finally from the Yoda and a little bit of damage on base as well. And like I said, these guys are playing so fast at this time of the day. But my main point I was trying to make is that I liked the Luke removing the resupply carrier versus the Maul, because the Maul had already done its thing. The resupply carrier had yet to do 4 damage. And so, I think kind of the thing he was thinking is, well, if my Luke sticks, then I've got a good answer for things next turn, or at least I've got something that can absorb, a hit from the Maul. Wondering what King Bully has in his hand. Again, I'm kind of trying to take a peek if it looks like maybe a Bright Hope in there. Or is that a blue leader? It's hard to tell because of the angle. We'll have to wait and see. Maul is going to go into Yoda. Or just to base? No, into the Yoda. Okay, yeah. I think sticking with the plan, removing the board, doing that overwhelm damage. That Maul has taken out 3 units already, by the way. That is extreme value. Plus all the little chip damage over the top, right? So I think that Maul is good. And I really like Michael Garcia sticking to the game plan too, right? As we see the final trade to finally take that Maul down in terms of, I'm going to control the board. I know that the longer the game goes, the bigger the units I'm going to have. I'm going to have that late game advantage. And so I don't need to necessarily swing it for 7 right now and allow you to keep something out. There's the C-3PO. For another check there. Doesn't call the right number, it looks like. But 21 damage on base for King Bully for our Ray Data Vault player, and just 5 on the base of Michael Garcia. That font is a little bit tricky to read with the counter, but I believe that's 5 and not 6. Are we going to see another big ship come down? There's enough. We've seen 2 Fell the Dragons. We've seen 1 Rivals fall. So if you're counting the removal, yeah, he goes ahead and plays the Annihilator, I believe that is. Wow, okay, getting rid of the 3PO. And gets to see the hand, too. That's nice. So the Annihilator, this isn't a card you get to see a lot in competitive SWU, but what it does, in case you're unfamiliar, you get to look at their hand and their deck and remove every copy of a card that you destroy, basically. You kill a unit on the board, then you go through their hand and deck and remove every other copy of it. So C-3PO is gone for good, unless there's some sort of card that brings it back or something, from the trash. Yeah, there's the other C-3PO. Okay. Wow, C-3PO annihilated. Let's see what else gets annihilated here. But I love the sideways treatment, by the way, for the Annihilator and the Executor. That's I believe it's kind of, in my mind anyway, it's a nod back to the late great Decipher Star Wars CCG that did horizontal treatments for some of the big Star Destroyers in that game. Love to see it. There's home 1. We knew it was in the hand. We knew it was going to get played, and that's going to enable the Bright Hope play from the discard pile as well. So there is a Sentinel, at least, in the air, and a little bit of restore. But is it enough to stop the rage of the Annihilator? I don't know. That kind of sounds like a Star Wars movie name, doesn't it? And what's it going to be? How do you come back from this? Because unless he drew into some removal, that Annihilator is going to stick around. I like that he actually shows it's readied by tipping it kind of sideways, making it vertical like the other cards. Whenever I play the sideways ones, I'm like, well, the right side up is right side up. Oh, man. All right, well, I mean, that's lethal. Unless King Bully has something in his hand to remove this unit, that is going to be 14 damage coming through. Yeah, okay, and that's game 1. I was going to say, that's a tough one to deal with. That's a tough swing to soak if you even if you are a Data Vault player. Oh, and he was showing he had a Palpatine's Return as well, so he could have brought it back. Brought the Maul back too. You've got a lot of options. And we are going to game number 2 here. as the players shuffle up and get ready to go. Michael Garcia 1 game up here on this Piett blue. King Bully trying to equalize on the Ray Data Vault again. Like I am really a big believer in this Ray Data Vault deck after this weekend. I got beat by one. It just did really well overall, and there's some kind of surprising stuff in some of these lists. So I think it's a deck that, at least in my play groups, not a lot of people are talking about. And it's a deck that's always been out there. It's not like we've never seen Ray Data Vault before, but it was the best I've seen Ray Data Vault do in a tournament in a while. So neat to see. C3PO doesn't call the right number. And what's Michael Garcia's play going to be? Of course. What else? Another Dr. Pershing hits the board. And we'll see if the players kind of slow down a little bit in game number 2. Sometimes that happens, right? Where you play a fast-paced game number 1, and then you're like, all right, well, time to buckle down, time to put every ounce of my brain power into this. But, you know, these tournaments, these planetary qualifiers are really a stamina testing tournament as much as it is a decision-making, strategy testing tournament. It is a marathon, right? The early Mon Mothma is really nice, too, just to get a little bit of filtering going, get a little bit of searching. Yeah, he's going to grab the Luke Skywalker there, it looks like. And so that is going to be lurking in the hand. Michael Garcia going to have to worry about that as King Bully puts it on there. And still 1 resource remaining for the +1 on the 3PO. Pershing will do the card draw and do the damage to the Super Laser Tech, putting it in play as a resource. So, you know, again, this the blue, the Dr. Pershing is kind of yet another ramp-enabling card in this list as well, which is, in my mind, another reason to really think about running Piett in blue. You know, again, I've always liked Piett blue. That was the color that I had played back when I was testing this a little bit. I know there was some cunning lists being kind of popular. Red seems to be like the one that's popped up the most lately in my, searching through PQs and various tournament deck lists. But I love that we see a Piett blue get all the way to the top 8 in a giant tournament like the LA PQ was. All right, goodbye, Pershing. As he gets run into, it looks like there. And the Admiral Piett card. Yeah, I mean, the thing is why would you not want to give all your expensive stuff ambush? That's going to be a card that demands an answer. Otherwise, you're going to, have that threat looming over you. Basically, what it does, if you're unfamiliar, is it gives all of your units with 6 or more cost ambush, basically. And I can't remember if it's only vehicles or if it's all units. I think it is all units. Oh, okay. And Mothma, I believe, just became a Sentinel. Let me look at that list here. Or that might have been entrenched as well. Yeah, I can't quite read it from here. Let me see. Yeah, I believe that's the case. Because I've got these deck lists open next to me here just so I can double check something if I need to here and there. Yep, that's the entrenched. And so that'll help at least do some damage to the Piett leader unit. Very interesting. Okay. And so Piett unit out there, and initiative was claimed, I believe, by Michael Garcia. So some sort of big play on the horizon here. You can play an 8 cost this time around because he gives you the discount of 2 on his leader side, and there are 6 resources on the board now for Michael. So what's the plan going to do, or going to be, rather? Maybe Relentless? Oh, no, Relentless is 9. Never mind. For some reason, my brain, I swear this happened since set 1, thinks Relentless is an 8 cost. I don't know why. The takedown on Mon Mothma. Okay. Got to get rid of Big Mon Mothma. She could swing in, just take out anybody. C3PO, though, with the 2 damage enough to finish off the Piett. And so, no big Piett activation for Michael Garcia this game. And that could be a problem. I feel like the tide has shifted there. Onyx Squadron Brute comes down, so a little bit of healing if Michael needs it. Okay, nice. Very nice. Spark of Hope will bring Mon Mothma back as a resource as well. So a little bit of ramping coming in from King Bully now, and that will be enough to then deploy Ray if he wants to. Yeah, Piett swings in for 1, because why not? Why not do a little bit of damage at least? There's the R2-D2. Okay. Comes in after the 3PO, so you don't necessarily get to do the combo where you know what you are calling with the 3PO and get to draw it. But I think that's fine. Yeah, buffing the R2-D2 just to make it that much more annoying. Oh, no, putting it on the 3PO. Okay. He pointed to the R2 first, so I got faked out there. And Rey comes in for 3, puts the XP on herself, allowing her to do that 3 damage. And then the Restore 3 is going to take King Bully back down to 0 damage on base. So really, really good situation here for our Rey Data Vault player right now. And now it's on our Piett player, Michael Garcia, to try to equalize here. And what has he got in store for that? I mean, you don't really have any big targets for like a overwhelming barrage or anything. Your turbo laser salvos are not going to help you now. You need to play something big. We need a big unit coming in here, or we need a maul. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, running right into the Rey and just getting rid of the unit that does that Restore 3 is so nice. So yeah, I think that's a big swing for Michael here. Oh, but the Luke Skywalker comes down. You know, we knew it was in the hand. We knew it was in the hand the whole time for King Bully, and that's going to be enough with the -6/-6 to take out the Maul, of course. And did I say, you know, it was nice to get the Restore 3 off the board? Well, guess what? It's back. He's got Restore 3 again. And Piett swinging in, of course, for a little bit of damage here, and 3PO going to strike back. He's the Dark Droids version now. He's a killer. And, oh, there's the blue leader. Okay. Called again because you've got the R2 3PO combo, so you know what's on top to call with the 3PO in case you want to draw it. And so, moving on to, you know, getting pretty deep into the late game as far as resources go, but only a total of 5 damage between the two players on base. But this is definitely one of those matchups where the swings can abruptly change the amount of damage on the bases in a big way. Obviously, we've got Luke there who can do quite a bit, but these Star Destroyers from Michael Garcia, you know, that's the question. Will he be able to play something to equalize here? Otherwise, it's looking like King Bully's about to run away with this one. Ooh, Palpatine's return. Yeah, bringing back the Maul. I think that's what you got to do. You got to trade into the Luke. That's about right. No overwhelm, as Luke has exactly 7 health. And Maul does exactly 7 damage. There's the blue leader. And looks like, yeah, he's going to ambush. And then put it on the ground with the 2 XP as well. There you go. Nice little ordering of abilities there to make that work. Because you do have the multiple when playeds, and as the active player, you get to decide the order. And there's the Fleet Lieutenant to make R2 swing for just a bit more for 3 damage rather than 1. And C-3PO comes in for a little bit. Oh, and there's a choose sides taken off the top. All right, well, that is an intimidating card for Michael Garcia to face, because now he's like, all right, well, whatever I play, if I play like a huge Star Destroyer and I don't remove the whole board, you can just basically be like, all right, well, would you like to have a, you know, damaged C-3PO or a Fleet Lieutenant in exchange for your Star Destroyer? So I don't want to say this game is locked down, but it's looking pretty good for our Rey player right now. You know, there's still a lot of damage to do, but just having the choose sides in. Okay, there's the Super Laser Blast. All right, so that does clear the board at least. And that does kind of give us a little bit of a reset, but it costs 8 resources, right? So our Rey player is still going to have another opportunity to put down a unit and get ready for using that choose sides. And there's the home one, even better. You know, rather than stealing your opponent's units, why don't you just put down a great big unit, right? And what'll it be? Does he have any resources remaining? It has 1, but opts to just go with the C-3PO. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't get the card off the top, but, you know, again, I think that's fine. Home 1 does give that C-3PO restore 1 as well. Not that King Bully really needs it at the moment. He only has 2 damage on base, but it is nice to just kind of go down to 0, I suppose. Reactivation with that final resource to put an experience token on the C-3PO as we move on to another round. And, you know, going back a few rounds, remember when Piett was flipped, Michael didn't get to play a big unit with that. Just kind of had it out there, kind of just got it rocked by some damage, and that really, really kind of slowed things down. And, you know, again, the big looming threat of that choose sides, I think, is going to make the remainder of this game very interesting for Michael to play out. Because you always have to take that into account, that whatever big thing you play, the next big thing you play is probably just going to get stolen unless the Ray player decides to use all the resources first. Ooh, and is he going to do it? Is it going to be the Devastator? Yeah, rethinking things here. I mean, the funny thing is you almost want to play Devastator and then kill the 3PO, because then you're saying, all right, well, if you choose sides, I get the home one. Avenger there. Okay. And what will it be? Now, yeah, normally you wouldn't want to, normally you'd want to get rid of the 3PO, right? But in this case, he kind of wanted to keep it because of the choose sides. Oh, there's an R2-D2, and there's still plenty of resources available for that choose sides to swap the R2 for the Avenger. 7 to base, and the Restore 2 coming in for King Bully. And yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't choose sides here. Now, Michael knew this was going to happen, so he will take initiative here, I would imagine, and I would think he's got some sort of removal ready. Yeah, that's right. Remember, he had the Devastator in his hand, so he can use his Devastator to take out his own Avenger, which doesn't feel great, but I don't see why you wouldn't do that right now. He'll certainly have to use some sort of removal here, and I think playing the Devastator, getting rid of the Avenger, and then also having a big Sentinel in the air to block a shot from the home one seems like a good plan, but we'll see what he ends up doing. It's not the only plan. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 from Piett, and then another 3. All right. That is what we're going to do. It looks like, yep, there's the Devastator. Takes out his own Avenger, which doesn't feel great, but, again, like I said, you get the dual value, right? Oh, fell the dragon. Okay, well, I mean, you had to know this was in there somewhere. But playing the Devastator gives you that initial dual value, right, again, of having the Sentinel in the air and getting rid of the threat. Unfortunately for him, King Bully has gotten far enough in this game now where he's been able to probably build up a good amount of removal in his hand. And so that, I think, gives him a pretty big advantage. Yet another swing into the base, 21 damage. And remember, there's only 30 health on this base. There's the tech. Oh, okay. All right. Running tech as well, which a lot of these Ray Data Vault players are running at least one tech just to bring some stuff back in this very late game situation, How many techs is he running? He is running 2. Okay. Yep. It's either like I've seen 1, I've seen 2. It's just kind of a nice late game save. Something you can always resource early, too, if you want to. Better to be played from hand, of course, at a lower cost. And what'll it be? How do you get out of this if you are our Piett player? I think it's going to be tricky. He does have a Palpatine's Return. Does he have another Devastator in hand? I think I might have seen one. What does he have? Oh, Palpatine's Return. Okay, yep. And there's a Devastator. And that's going to take out the home one, I would guess. Although, honestly, the tech is a little bit of a tempting target, too. But with 21 damage on base, I kind of feel like you need to get rid of the home one. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid of the tech. I'm afraid of the potential of the tech, but I'm afraid of the immediate threat of the home one more. Even though the Devastator would theoretically soak a hit. But again, there's so much. There's probably more removal in the Ray's hand. So you go for the max value, right off the bat. R2 attacks in for 1. Ooh, this might be like a 30-0 result here. Yeah, there's a Rival's Fall on the Devastator. Initiative claimed by our Piett player. And now, what'll it be? 6 resources remaining, it looks like. King Bully can just kind of build the board a little bit. No big threat out there to worry about getting a super laser, turbo laser salvoed with. Overwhelming barrage isn't a big threat either. So what's it going to be? How does he want to build his board for more damage next turn? I think that's a Yoda. Yeah, that's the OP Yoda. I guess there's a nasty glare right at that spot on the board. So have to rely on shadows to occasionally tell us what card that is. Good old set 1 OP border Yoda. Definitely going to be one of the auto-include cards in a lot of Heroism Vigilance decks until rotation. All right, so, again, keeping the Restore going. Tech keeping the option to play things from your resources going. And now, what's the big play from Michael here? This Piett deck a lot of times will just kind of play one big card per turn, and that card via its on play is supposed to be able to kind of like, keep things safe. Oh, okay. As a power of the dark side. So that'll remove the Yoda. I mean, gets the card draw for King Bully. I think it's fine. Yeah, easy choice there. You want the tech to give you just essentially that much bigger of a hand, right? And now what's it going to be? I mean, this Piett runs 2 Annihilators main deck. I love it. it's wild, but that's great. So he could, honestly, if he plays the Annihilator here, he could get rid of all the techs. Okay, and there's the Annihilator. He had it in hand. I thought I maybe saw that there. And so gets rid of 1 tech. And you can only, the thing is, you search the hand and you search the deck. I don't believe you search the resources. Yeah, just search the deck and hand. Yep. So if tech is in the resources, it's safe. But it wasn't. It was in the deck. Okay, so the 2 techs are out of commission for the Ray. Gonna need like another home 1 or something like that to bring it back. But that, the funny thing is, putting a tech in your resources does kind of keep it safe against Annihilator, which is not something you have to think about in a lot of matches of Star Wars Unlimited. But I think that's something that King Bully actually has to consider here. That is a very interesting, like a little bit of minutia that he's gonna have to take into account here. But Annihilator on the board, was essentially what won Michael Garcia game number 1. That with an overwhelming barrage. Can the Annihilator stick this time? Akbar comes in. Is there some more removal here for the Annihilator? We know it's in the deck. But if it's in the resources, tech can't grab it out anymore. So it's got to be in the hand. Ooh, there's a choose sides, and Akbar traded for the Annihilator. Akbar was the trap the entire time. Who knew? And does Michael Garcia have an answer for this? Has to take initiative right away, obviously, because 1 swing from this Annihilator is going to win the game. Does he have an option to get rid of this? You need to have a Fell the Dragon or a Rival's Fall, or a Power of the Dark Side, honestly, would do it too, because it's the only unit on the board. So there are certainly options. The fact that he hasn't conceded tells me that he's got to have something. And yep, that's going to be another Power of the Dark Side. So that will send the Annihilator back home to the discard pile. All right. And looks like Akbar will be the choice. He's like, all right, you can have your Akbar back. Sure. I want to be able to do a little bit of draw fixing with the R2. That's so funny. Slowly, the Rebel Alliance is joining. Well, we're backing things up a little bit here. Yeah, Power of the Dark Side. Yep. And so that would take out the Annihilator. And Akbar, yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess we're just talking through the specifics with that. I don't see what the question would be there. And while I recorded these, I actually tried my best not to watch them because I wanted to be surprised when I was casting them later, So I stayed away from the table while this was going on. So I'm not sure what the plan is here. Interesting. Showing the hand. Okay. Oh, because the when defeated does the same thing. So the when defeated would be activated by King Bully. So King Bully would actually get to do the Annihilator's effect. That's right. I forgot it was a when defeated as well. So the Akbar is chosen. Oh, that is interesting. Because Power of the Dark Side makes you defeat 2 things. Or makes your opponent defeat something. And so he's defeating the Akbar. And so obviously there's no more Akbars, but he still should get to see the hand. And you would still get to search the hand in the deck, I would guess, actually. Yeah, because if you do, search its controller's deck and hand for each copy with that unit's name. It doesn't matter if it's in there or not. So that's interesting. I've never actually run into that interaction before. But it looks like we're moving on to the next game anyway. That home 1, just a little bit too much pressure here. Yeah, so it's going to be 1-1 as King Bully takes game number 2. I'll have to go back and think about that Annihilator one, because I think you'd get to look through the deck, but honestly, that is a situation I've never run into before, where the villainy player power the dark sides while there is a captured annihilator on the other side of the deck, and then the annihilator controller chooses his own unit to destroy with the annihilator. Does that allow you to look through your opponent's hand and deck, even though you were the owner of the unit that was destroyed? Because it says search its controller's deck, right? So Michael Garcia controlled the Akbar, even though he didn't own the Akbar. So again, I'm just a lowly apprentice level judge who has not kept up with things the way he should have in the last couple months because I've been a little bit too busy. But I would guess you'd get to look through their hand and deck, but that's just me. Tell me in the comments how wrong I am, or if I'm right. We are moving on to game number 3, though. And this game is for a spot in the semifinals of the Los Angeles Jump to Lightspeed Planetary Qualifier. All right, I have it in Winnetka. I know that's what it says on Melee GG, but it's nobody, everyone says LA, right? Everyone in LA says LA. It's like one big city, right? In the round of 8 right now, though. And, honestly, I think our Ray player, King Bully, did a great job last game of really making it difficult for Michael Garcia to put out those big threats, choose sides. It's a big deal. All the blue removals, very nice. There's the Inferno 4 for just a little bit of draw fixing here for Michael going into this. I do feel like the ideal start for this Piett deck, now that I've watched it a few times, and I've looked through the list, is something like Pershing into Super Laser Tech or Pershing into Resupply. But Inferno 4 is not bad as far as just trying to draw into that resupply, right? There's the Alliance Dispatcher, gets the XP from Ray. And again, that's a card that can discount something too. So don't discount the discount is what I'm saying. But can also swing bigger as it is buffed. 2 damage from the Inferno 4. And what will the response for King Bully be? It is going to be the blue leader into the Inferno 4. Okay. Takes 2 damage in response. But the blue leader is going to just be, I would say, a auto-include in nearly every Heroism command deck from here on out until eventually set 4 rotates. It is just so nice to have the flexibility of having this 3 damage ambusher in space, and then also later in the game to be able to put it on the ground. It's such a great card. Easily one of the best cards in set 4 in my opinion. And as the Inferno 4 dies, Michael Garcia again gets to look at the top 2 cards of his deck. Gets to rearrange them a little bit. And now we are moving into the turn where we can spend up to 5. Yeah, and there is or 6 rather. There is a resupply carrier. And so, at least we've got that ramp coming in. And that is a big one because putting that big threat in the air, and ramping is really strong. Oh, but the King Bully ramp in response. I do like that. Saying, you know what? I know we're going late. I don't need to put anything more on the board right now. What I really need is to be able to keep up with you in resources. I need to be able to get to 7 quicker for my resupply, or for my choose sides. I need to be able to get to 6 faster for my Rival's Fall. Just knows that late game number of resources is the most important thing in the game right now. So I think that's a good move. Again, Ray also lets you use some of the extra resources too, just to keep buffing things. Right now, that Alliance Dispatcher has a 3 attack, which is, no slouch, right? Piett takes 3. And I believe initiative was taken by Michael, if I saw that correctly. Did not attack with the Piett. And I wanted to play something else here too, so let's see what he's got in store. First, going with the attack from the resupply carrier. Okay, so leaving Piett a little bit vulnerable here. I'd be slightly concerned. Opts to wait, though. Okay, yeah, 3 damage into Piett. So Piett up to 6 damage on the body. I believe it's 7 total for that leader. I've not played Piett in a while. Yeah, he's a 2/7, that's right. But it is really cool to see it out there. All right, yeah, and Avenger out on the board takes out the blue leader, and big threat there, Rival's Fall. One of the things that I haven't been taking seriously enough with this list I'm seeing is just the value of the resupply carrier. when you get into this sort of like rhythm where you have the resupply carrier out and then you're playing a bigger threat each turn, because then the blue player on the other side needs to use their single target removal on that bigger threat, but you still get to swing for 4 each turn. So that rhythm, again, of the resupply carrier into something really big is such a great avenue for damage in this Piett list. That's something definitely to keep in mind. So up to 12 damage on base right now. Akbar comes in, doesn't really do anything. Unfortunately for King Bully here. And, Ray should be coming up pretty soon. And there's a regional governor. So what is called? I would guess it could be an Annihilator. It could be an Overwhelming Barrage. Could be Devastator, I guess. Again, I didn't record the sound. Well, I did record the sound. It was not Turbo Laser Salvo, though. So now it doesn't matter because it's gone. There's R2. But yeah, I try not to use the audio on these just to kind of respect the player's privacy as much as possible. Some are okay with it, some not. Also, the audio mixing with 2 different levels of dialogue happening is tricky sometimes. All right, Ray comes in, swings for 3, heals for 3 as we go to the next round here. And is there a little bit more removal maybe in Michael Garcia's inventory here? Could use a Devastator at this point. Could use a, I was going to say Devastator. Okay, that's enough. Damage to a unit. It's not damage to a non-leader unit, so you absolutely can use it to take out a leader. And Luke comes in, takes out the resupply carrier. But that Devastator still sitting pretty in the air here. So I believe initiative was taken here again. Another swing from the deadly R2-D2 on the ground. So the funny thing is the damage on base is in favor of King Bully for the moment here. But even one swing with that Devastator is pretty hard to come back from. And now, will Michael be able to kind of snowball this into, more big threats? Again, the strength of blue is in single target removal. And so when things start to go a little bit wider, like when you have a Devastator and an Annihilator on the board, oh no. And uses the Annihilator to take out the Luke, which means he gets to look through the hand and the deck and remove all of the copies of Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. One of the strongest cards in King Bully's deck for sure. Yeah, there's another one. There's got to be a third one in there somewhere. And if it's not, it's in resources, so you really got to watch out for the tech later. Yeah, there it is. Oh, gets rid of all the Lukes. That stings a bit. That is a rough one. That is exactly what King Bully did not want to see happen this turn. He's like, all right, you played the Devastator. He's probably got some removal for it. He's probably got, oh no, he doesn't have any single target removal for it in his hand. Oh no. Ooh, this is looking a little bit scary here for our Ray player now. 10 damage. So that's from 9 to 19 here. And what do you even do if you're the Ray player? You play C-3PO. He gets the spark of hope. All right, so you get other resource out of that, sure. But man, you're looking at 22 damage on the board next turn. It's lethal next turn if King Bully doesn't have removal here. Or like even a Bright Hope maybe to throw in the way, although Devastator has Overwhelm, so I don't know if that really helps that much anyway. He's got a spark of hope for the resource. Maybe is there a tech in the resources maybe? He needs removal. He needs removal right now. Oh, and I think he just drew a Fell the Dragon. Yeah, so might be able to buy himself another turn here. But it's looking pretty grim. Not going to lie. But I think a lot of this goes back to the resupply carrier. Remember? Resupply carrier, getting to hit for 4 a couple times, and making that removal have to be used on the bigger thing. Really helped enable this to happen. Yeah, Fell the Dragon on the Devastator. Okay. Opts to remove that, perhaps because it is a Sentinel. And there's Overwhelm. Yeah, and there's a fist bump. And that means Michael Garcia on this Piett blue will take the round of 8 match and move on to the semifinals. Really well played on his side. I think King Bully on the Ray Data Vault played a great series of games as well. Really controlled the board well on game number 2. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, if you're a little bit short on removal and then that Annihilator just annihilating all the Luke Skywalkers in his deck, that is kind of the death blow there as we end that one. And hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to get the round of 8 match up on the channel tomorrow, and then the round of 4 match up on the channel tomorrow, and then the finals up on the channel the next day, and then we'll have one from each of the playoff rounds here from the LA Planetary Qualifier for you on Ice Cave Radio. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps the channel a lot. Join our Discord as well. We've got a great community of almost 500 people that love to talk about Star Wars Limited all day, play games with each other. It's a great time. So definitely do that. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.